and hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be here. Yes, this is the last week of the Mindful Mundus Project, week 5, and we are going to discuss about the building positive relationships. My name is Georgiana Darau. I am from Romania originally, but in the past 8 years, I can say I am a nomad because I did move to different countries in Europe. I lived and worked in different countries, and now I'm in between Greece and France. So I'm very happy to discuss today about building positive relationships and also about loneliness and how to manage conflicts. But let's see that in a bit. More to introduce myself, I also did an Erasmus Mundus Master Global-Minds, like 2 of my other colleagues. Just a quick question. Can you see my slides? I changed it. Yes. Okay, perfect. So yes, I also did an Erasmus Mundus Master in Social and Cultural Psychology. So now I'm a psychologist, and I'm also part of Global-Minds Association, which is one of the partners of this project. And I'm happy to be able to actually get involved more in this project and be one of the experts. I am actually in a career transition, let's say. I am soon starting my training to become a counselor and psychotherapist. Until now, I worked as a social scientist in EU-funded projects, but mostly project management. But I did realize I like more the be directly with people, like helping people, especially international students or expatriates with issues related to and challenges related to moving to a new country, and of course, like connecting with people. So I'm happy to have the chance to talk with you more about this and then work together in the workshops. So yeah, that's my LinkedIn if you want to keep in contact, but you can contact me after. We'll discuss about today. I want to tackle upon the importance of social support and relationships in our lives. And also to understand the impact that it has on our health, well-being, and also physical health. Understand also loneliness and how loneliness, especially as an international student, affects our mental health and physical health, of course. And then we will look at conflicts and what conflicts mean, and how to actually improve our skills in conflict management, especially focused on empathy, emotional intelligence, and nonviolent communication. And then just learn methods and tips how to build resilient social networks and nurture positive relationships. We will look at first at social relationships, loneliness, how to connect with people, conflicts, and then, of course, letting go in conflicts, because this is also very important. And then make a wrap up about building and maintaining positive relationships. So before starting, I want to use this a part of this video because it's a long one. We're just gonna look a few minutes at it, just like an icebreaker, let's say, to start our discussion about social relationships. So this is a TED Talk about a long study on happiness, and it's about what makes a good life.
What keeps us healthy and happy as we go through life? If you were going to invest now in your future best self, where would you put your time and your energy? There was a recent survey of millennials asking them what their most important life goals were. And over 80% said that a major life goal for them was to get rich. And another 50% of those same young adults said that another major life goal was to become famous. And we're constantly told to lean into work, to push harder and achieve more. We're given the impression that these are the things that we need to go after in order to have a good life. Pictures of entire lives of the choices that people make and how those choices work out for them, those pictures are almost impossible to get. Most of what we know about human life, we know from asking people to remember the past. And as we know, hindsight is anything but 20/20. We forget vast amounts of what happens to us in life, and sometimes memory is downright creative. But what if we could watch entire lives as they unfold through time? What if we could study people from the time that they were teenagers all the way into old age to see what really keeps people happy and healthy? We did that.
I will share the video with you. You can watch it at home as well because it's very interesting. So just wanted to use it as introduction about this study. Is a Harvard study of adult development, and it actually started since 1938. So it's still ongoing nowadays. And actually what they wanted to do is to understand how the health and the well-being of a group of young men evolved as they grew up. And these men, they were around like 700 young men around in their 20s. And even today, they are still monitoring the health and well-being of those who are still alive. And many of them, they are in their late 90s. And actually, it's interesting because in the meantime, they started studying their families, their children as well, the family of children. So if you want to learn more about it, I will share the details in the handout. So what they actually found, there are three main conclusions in this coming from this study. And first is that social connections are actually good for us, that people who are socially connected to family, friends, and even the community, they are actually physically healthier and than those who are less connected. And it even shows that they are also living longer lives, because those that mostly feel lonely and they don't have good relations with others, they actually found that they are not as healthy and they tend to die earlier in life. Then keeping your relationships closer, close relationships even closer, because it's not the numbers of friends that we have or the family that we have, is the quality of our relationships that are important. And actually living in a high conflict relationship, for example, a marriage, is actually bad for our health because it doesn't protect us and it doesn't protect our health. So it's important for us to feel good, to feel protected and supported in a relationship, because this will affect our health as well. And the good relationships, they protect our brains too, not only our bodies, but the brain, because it allows us to stay sharper, to have our memory staying sharper, and also our memories, because they mentioned that people who are actually in a relationship where they can count on the other, especially lean on the other in difficult times, it allows them to keep their memory stronger as they grow older. So this is something to think about. It's we never think how relationships can actually impact our lives. Just to go simple and fast through what social relationships are, is the ties that we have with other people, that they have personal significance for us. And we normally want to have in a relationship companionship. We have to support each other emotionally, and we have to encourage each other. And what's important to keep in mind here, it has to be reciprocated. It cannot be only from one side. And well, we are all social beings, and it's a fundamental human need. I mean, we all lived until now because we lived in groups. So we need to connect with people and have a good support network. So now let's look at loneliness. And this is an interesting fact that I thought to share with you. Did you know that actually loneliness and weak social connections are associated to a reduction in life, just like smoking cigarettes, like 15 cigarettes a day. We all think that, we all know that cigarettes are bad for us. I mean, it's an unhealthy habit, but whoever thought that it has the same effect on our life, just like loneliness and like weak social connections. So it's good to think about this and to keep it in mind. Loneliness, it's a distressing feeling that accompanies the perception of one's social needs, and because we are not feeling satisfied with the quality mostly, but also the quantity of our social relationships. So it can be temporary, situational, and chronic. Temporary, I guess most of you, like when you started your Erasmus Mundus journey, it's maybe you felt lonely in the beginning because you're away from home, you're away from your support network, so you might have felt lonely, and this is something normal to feel like this, but it's just a temporary situation. Then it can be situational when it's related to maybe losing someone that you love. Or like maybe a breakup, and this is again a situation. And then it can be chronicle, and this is when it's actually life threatening, because it's a feeling, it's something that it's hard to get out of it, and most of the times this affects older people that lack social support. Maybe they don't have family anymore, so they're mostly alone, and it's already affecting their health. So how can it impact our health, mentally, our mental health, in terms of we can develop depression, anxiety, we can feel, we can have feelings of emptiness, it can cause irritability and insomnia as well. And all these can elevate our stress, and then stress at its turn, it's going to affect our physical health. So it is actually loneliness, it is associated with different physical health problems, and it can make us be more prone to develop cardiovascular diseases. It can also affect the cognitive and the functional decline, including dementia, and of course, as we mentioned before, it can increase the risk of death. So don't want to scare you now, but it's good to keep this in mind and just know like how strong loneliness can actually impact our lives. So loneliness as an international student, it is normal to feel like this, to have these feelings in the beginning. Studying abroad and moving in another country, you lose your social ties, your social support, you're separated from family and friends, like whatever you're familiar with. And then you just want to build new friendships in a host country. And especially as Erasmus Mundus students, it might be hard to do that because you're just moving. Everything happens so fast. You're moving all the time. So it can be challenging. And also the fact there are different factors that affect and that increase these loneliness feelings. And this can be like culture shock. There are differences in cultural practices and values. There can be even food differences. This will also affect us. Economical issues, language barriers, and many more. I'm sure you're already maybe familiar with them. So just to like share a bit of my personal experience. The first time I actually moved to a new country, I was pretty young. I was 18 years old, and I moved the first time abroad to France, from Romania to France, to study for my bachelor studies. And this was the most challenging time for me, because that's when I experienced the first time the culture shock, the differences in cultural practices. And it's during this time that I developed a lot of anxiety because I was feeling very lonely. I was not having friends because I was shy to speak French, because I had an accent, because I was not confident enough. And this made me isolate myself more and more. Therefore, it was hard to connect with people and to make friends. And even at some point, this affected me like physically because I developed some stomach issues, and it was not linked to anything physically, because I did do many checkups, medical checkups, and it took me some time to actually realize that this affected my how bad this affected my health in general, both mental and physical health. And it's been years until I realized that actually loneliness and the feeling, the lack of social network on the spot in the local community, it affected me. So especially when you notice that cultures are different, people are eating, for example, in France, maybe some of you know about France, they are eating in specific hours. I could not get adapted to that. So it's a new journey, let's say. So this happens, this is normal, and I'm happy to discuss here with you because I wish someone would have told me this at that point. Probably my journey, my challenge would have been better. It's only after I actually joined some NGOs, some groups, that I started making friends, and this helped me get out of this situation and of this uncomfortable feeling. It's a video, maybe some of you know it from social media. It's very interesting because everybody thinks that moving abroad is like such a great experience, which it is, but it also brings its challenges. So it involves a lot of work with yourself. You're really restarting your life, let's say.
Here's the truth about moving abroad without romanticizing it. The truth is that making friends as an adult in a new city is hard. And even if you meet people you like, it will be hard not to feel lonely sometimes, because when you're starting from scratch, it's easier to build one-on-one connections than a big friend group. The truth is that you'll be alone a lot of the time and be forced to learn how to enjoy your own company and become more independent, more self-sufficient, which will bring up a lot of difficult emotions. The truth is that newfound independence will prove that you're capable of so much more than you'd ever thought possible. And that will make you demand a lot from yourself, from life, from others around you, but it will also encourage you to make the most of your limited time here on this planet. So should you move abroad?
Well, you already move abroad. Okay, so yes. So what can we do to actually get out of this loneliness? Like the idea and the main, what is important is to connect with people. So the connection is the key. And I suggest to you like some ideas what to do in case you're feeling like this, and it's always good to know them. Start with existing relationships. At my time, when I was in a challenging when you were I was in a challenging situation. I was keeping in contact with my family, with my friends over Skype, social media, always like calling, video calling, because I mean we live in the technology area, so we can use this all this technology to help us keep close with people, even if they live on the other side of the world. And always like open up about your struggles, even if you're struggling in your new country. Like talking with someone, it's someone that you already feel close to, even if they might not know what you're going through, is always important. And I'm sure that they will be there to help you in any way they can. Then turn your work class colleagues into friends, because you already have some values in common, and always like try to see and explore these relationships, because I'm sure you probably share more interests, and just work towards that to see how you can connect better with the others. Again, it's important to look for opportunities to be social. You can try joining a group, maybe a volunteering. It will help you to connect with the community that you are in. Maybe take a class as well, and just search for any opportunities. For example, you can go to the international office in your universities, or maybe ask your professors if they know any events that might be organized by the university, because I'm sure also in the Erasmus Mundus programs, they are actually doing any type of events that can help you get to know people as well. And it's important to practice effective communication, because you already discussed with my colleagues the previous weeks about cultural differences, because people, they are different, they have different communication styles, working styles. So it's important to be mindful of this. So always keep that in mind as well. And then how to connect with people. So these are just some tips. They are based on research as well, and they are pretty intuitive, but it's always good to share them and talk about them, because maybe we don't realize it. So heart to heart, it's allow yourself to be vulnerable with others, because as when you're actually sharing something personal and you're sharing one of your challenges, maybe with a friend, you might realize that you're going through the same situation as well. And especially with your colleagues from Erasmus Mundus, I'm sure you all felt lonely at some point, or you felt like some challenges related to the move to a new country. And this will allow you to build trust between you, and it fosters an emotional intimacy. So this allows you to develop a deeper level of understanding and acceptance. But of course, this has to be reciprocated as well. Sharing laughter. I mean, we all know that humor can allow us to connect with people, and it allows us to have a good time together. And what's important to note here is the jokes have to be with friendly intentions, because we know humor can be also dark and can be a bit disrespectful, let's say, to some specific groups. It's important to support each other, because we are when you're in a friendship with someone, in a relationship with someone, you have to be there for each other, and remember to always remind each other how important you are, and how well they supported you when you needed them, or they needed you. Also express and receive gratitude, offering yourself, being grateful for yourself and for your life is important, but express it to the others as well. And you should also receive it as well, because it's like a boost of appreciation to the people, to the loved ones, to the ones that you care. And then also give and receive affection, because we all need this. It's a fundamental need in life, and we have to care for each other, and like we want to be taken care of as well. What's also interesting is moving our bodies together, like being in a group, a dancing group, or singing together. Actually, even research shows that this allows people to get in sync, and this will allow to create a better connection with the others. And then also sharing positive emotions. We already know that when you're having a good time with someone, it's a joyful time, you actually connect better with them. So try to do activities or something that brings you joy, and I'm sure you will find someone you can share this with. And this will allow you to connect better with that person or those people. And then find common ground, because I'm sure we are more similar, and you are more similar with your colleagues rather than different. Even though we are unique people, we are coming from different cultural backgrounds, but I'm sure that you're sharing a lot of similarities. You're just find that common ground that like allows you to connect. And then celebrate each other's fortune, because we have to show our appreciation and joy for if the other person is actually having a good experience in life, and just be there for each other to offer companionship and encouragement as well. Now, of course, we get into conflicts. Conflicts are normal in our life. It's inevitable, and it will happen probably, maybe, sometimes even every day in our life. So what's actually important to remember is that conflicts are normal. It doesn't mean that you're breaking a relationship with someone just because you're in a disagreement. And normally these conflicts come up due to different reasons. Most of the times it's ineffective communication and misunderstandings. So that's why it's important to be mindful of cultural differences, cultural and communication styles as well. We also have to be mindful that people have different personalities as well, and sometimes we just clash. They're also like, we are all interested in different stuff, or we have different goals in life or in a job or in a project, for example. And then conflicts also like break trust, and the lack of trust actually brings up conflicts as well. But what's important to know is to understand how to resolve this, how to navigate, not resolve, how to navigate these conflicts and actually achieve a resolution that is good for both parties, and both parties are feeling satisfied with the outcome. I want to introduce you this conflict resolution model. I don't want to focus much on it because I want to focus more on developing skills for conflicts. So I just want you to understand how we normally approach conflicts. This is a model, the Thomas-Kilmann-Model, is widely used in businesses, and actually has 5 approaches to conflicts. And if you can see here, it's like on 2 axes. So it's the importance of a relationship and also the importance of the goal. So that's how they're put on the axis according to what you are more interested in this conflict, let's say. So again, this is the axis. It's important to think about them, about the goals that you want from a conflict, but also what the other person wants from person or party, because there might be more people involved. Just to explain to you a bit more in detail what this is about. So competing is someone that maybe you can think about a boss who's, let's say, rigid, that is not prepared to change their position. They do not want to change anything. You're in a conflict and they're like, no, my way is the best way to do it. You have to do it as you're told. So they're not willing to change anything. They just care about their the goal of the conflict and what they actually want. Then is the avoiding part. It's someone who's passive to it, doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't care about this. So then they don't care about the relationship, neither the goal of the situation. And then there's someone who's accommodating. This person will agree with whatever the other party is saying. They accept. They're prepared to accept anything without questioning it, because for them the relationship is more important rather than the outcome of the situation. And then we are tempted to think that compromising would be the best approach to take in a conflict, but actually the compromise will make both parties drop, let's say, their expectations, because they have to split the difference. They want to meet in the middle, and they're only prepared to change their what they want, their goals, only if the other party is willing to change as well. And that's why collaborating is the best approach, because collaborating is really like working with the other party to solve this problem and to understand each other's needs and see how how they can make both parties happy. So always think that it's always best, like in a conflict, to collaborate with the other party and try to work it out together, not against each other. Now let's see how we can actually improve our conflict management skills. So I want to focus on developing empathy, using nonviolent communication, and overall developing our emotional intelligence. So these skills, like conflict management skills, are seen as a very good leadership traits and skills. And it's always good to have them, especially in your future careers, also in your personal life and relationships life as well. Well, probably most of you know and understand empathy, but just to clarify it, is the ability to understand and experience someone else's feelings and to actually understand another viewpoint than your own. So basically put yourself in someone else's shoes, and then you will understand how the other person might be feeling and why they're thinking in a specific way. It also mentions that that empathy is like the psychological superglue that connects people, and it allows us to cooperate and show more kindness to each other and become more tolerant, because we all know the society, the world we live in is not, let's say, the most tolerant, and I think we all can practice a bit more empathy so we can show more kindness to each other. How can we actually practice it? Just remember, empathy is not innate. Some people might have higher empathy depending on their personality types, but actually empathy can be developed and practiced, so only by practice. So these are just some tips that will allow you to increase your empathy. So first of all, you have to want to grow. You want to be willing to develop your empathy, and by doing this, you need to ask questions. You need to actively listen to those around you, and by asking questions, it will show this. I mean, you have to be curious to get to know other people and understand other people's perceptions and perspectives. That's why it's important to expose yourself to differences. You're already in a multicultural environment, so take advantage of this and interact with people who have this different cultural background. And I'm sure that it will allow you to be more aware of differences, and it will allow you to empathize better with other people. But also it's important to understand your blocks, because by staying, let's say, in your corner and not wanting to connect with people or like discuss with people who are different than you, then this won't allow you to understand better another person. So you have to understand what are these blocks that you have, psychological blocks, and just push yourself to get out of your comfort zone and like spend time with people that might be more different than you. So like this, you will understand better their perspectives. Also identify common ground, as it is for connecting with people. We have so many similarities between us, so focus on that, on those stuff that you can connect with the person, and this will also allow you to become more empathic and understand what they're going through. They also say that reading fiction allows us to increase our empathy, because reading fiction will allow you you're putting yourself in the shoes of the character. So then you have to understand the individual, the character, how they are reacting, interactions, motivations as well. And then these will allow you to practice them in the real life as well. Then harness the power of oxytocin, that meaning that when you're with someone who's maybe feeling down, just giving them a hug will actually allow you to connect better and to, just develop this empathy between each other, because you're feeling the pain of the other. So just like a gentle hug, or even a gentle touch of on the shoulder. This is something that allows you to connect and to develop this empathy. And of course, second guess yourself, because we are all tempted. We all have like prejudiced ideas or like sometimes stereotypical ideas, and it's normal because we are wired to think like this. What's important is to acknowledge this and second guess yourself, like be open that you might be wrong and just admit that you might have a preconception about something. Then nonviolent communication. What is this? This also, it focuses on empathy because it allows us to listen empathetically to the other party and to express honestly. And actually, this type of communication is based on the principles of nonviolence, and it allows us to increase our empathy levels and to improve the quality of life that we have with those that we practice it with. So this type of communication comes from clinical psychology, and it's a good way to help it to connect better with people and to strengthen our relationship with family, friends, and even passers on the street, because it allows us to foster empathy and to be compassionate with those around us. And it gets us out from this idea of the conflict mentality. So how can we practice this? These are like 4 components of the nonviolent communication, and it actually it involves observations. So as you can see here, I also gave some clear guidelines, let's say. So at first you have to observe what's happening. You're in a conflict, so let's say step aside and observe what you are doing and what the other person is doing that you don't like. But it's important to keep out of judgment in these situations. Then you have to understand and say how you are actually feeling when this conflict is happening. So if someone is bothering you because they were late or they didn't accomplish their commitments, you don't say they got me angry or they disappointed me. I feel disappointed because of what happened. So focus on using I statements because you are feeling that specific emotion, and focus on emotions independent from the story. Saying what you're thinking is saying how you are feeling. And also then it's important to identify the need that you have in this situation. So if the situation, so yes, identify this need that is connected to that feeling. So if someone is late or is not fulfilling their commitments and they are making you angry, you feel angry or disappointed, then you need to state what you actually need in this situation, and you need people to respect your time, or that person to respect your time or your commitments as well. So figure out that need, and then you make the request. In the end, is the action that you take by telling the person, that's the specific need that I want, and can we actually work on this? Would you be willing to inform myself when you're late next time? Would you be willing to respect my time, because I know it's normal for you to be late, but for me it's very important to be on time, or this is my need for respect. So we will discuss more, we will practice tomorrow in the workshops about this, but it's good to know this information. And then emotional intelligence. Well, we all heard about it. We know it's good to have it, and it's actually very important because this allows us to recognize our own emotions, so self-reflection, what people are telling us and how we are feeling, how our emotions are affecting other people as well, because whatever we are doing or what we are feeling will affect the other people as well. And by having a good level of emotional intelligence will allow us to connect better with people, to build better relationships, to become better communicators, and also improve our well-being in general. And just keep in mind, just like empathy, emotional intelligence is a skill that we develop it. It's not innate. We have to actively work on it to develop it and just to become more aware about how we regulate our own emotions and those of others as well. And interesting fact, they say that emotional intelligence might be even more important nowadays than IQ. So it's good to know how to connect with people and to understand, to have this skill in our life, and especially in the work environment later on. So how to practice? Emotional intelligence has 5 components. So it involves a level of self-awareness and self-regulation. So in this, this is important to do a self-evaluation, understand your emotions and how this affects you. And maybe it's good to examine yourself how you react in stressful situations, especially in a conflict, because this is, especially if it's a heated conflict, it will affect you and you might react in a negative way, an intense way. So it's good to know your strengths and also your weaknesses. And then to self-regulate, it's good to practice controlling your emotions and impulses, because in these conflicts you get frustrated, you get angry. So it's good to step aside and try to control yourself. Maybe you can practice some mindfulness activities like breathing work and all this. It's also important to practice saying no, because this is just like putting boundaries. You're not gonna allow some people to affect you in some way, or you just know what it is needed or what you need from a specific situation. And then in terms of motivation, it's important to understand that, especially in a conflict, that there is a conflict, and be willing to work through it, and to be empathic and to try to understand the other's perspective. And then, of course, empathy. That's why all of them, they're based on empathy. We need to observe how people, how you react to other people, but how to understand the other person's perspective and try to work together towards something, towards finding a resolution to a conflict. And important to practice active listening and open communication as well. And then also understand your stereotypes and prejudices. And then going to social skills, it's important to stay open, flexible, and especially accessible, because people, let's say the other party, if they don't feel comfortable with maybe the way you're reacting to a situation, they won't be willing to open up or like talk about this. They will be avoidant, let's say. So then it's important to practice understanding and non-judgmental way of looking at the situation, especially as a conflict, and then practice being empathic. So then also this, I want to touch this, and I saw some comments there. I didn't get the chance to see them, but it's important to let go in conflicts as well. Conflicts are emotionally consuming, and sometimes we cannot resolve them, and that's completely normal, because some people, they are not willing to work through a conflict, or they're not willing to cooperate with us, and maybe they lack empathy. They will never try to understand the perspective of the other. So that's why it's important for us to learn how to let go, because this will allow us to release these resentments and frustration that we have in us when we are in a conflict that it just consumes you. And letting go, it will allow you to develop personally, because it's an emotional and mental process, and it's pretty consuming, but it will allow you to accept yourself, accept maybe the others better, and just to discover yourself better, and heal in some way, because you do need to heal and accept conflicts, and accept that we cannot change people, we cannot change situations. The only thing that we can do is change the way we react to situations. Strategies that you can practice to let go in a conflict. So firstly, it's acceptance and mindfulness. So we have to accept what's happening. We accept that this conflict cannot be resolved. I did try my best. That's why it's important to be empathic, to practice this non-violent communication. But you cannot consume yourself forever. You have to accept that this cannot be changed, and you cannot change the other person. You have to understand and observe your feelings, how this makes you feel, and try not to judge yourself either. And then be mindful that you did try your best. Maybe engage in breathing exercises, especially when you're in a conflict, like a heated conflict. Just maybe take a step back, like do some breathing exercises, and then will allow you to release the tension that is created in a conflict. So, and most importantly, retrieve yourself from a situation where where you feel threatened and uncomfortable. And this goes also to setting boundaries. This is important as well, because you have to understand your limits, and you have to communicate clearly those limits to other people, and they have to respect them as well. So in case someone is not respecting them, that's why you have to walk away, let go, and try to let go of this conflict and the emotional charge that we have. So we will practice this in the workshops about setting boundaries, and also practicing self-care, because to take care of yourself is the most important. At first, you have to be in a good mental and physical state, and emotional state as well. And then emotional processing and release, because we have to confront these emotions. Maybe we tend to put our emotions aside most of the times. Maybe in a conflict, we just ignore it because we're like, okay, it happened once, or it's fine. Maybe I overreacted. It's not a good way to do this, because most of the times it just brings up more and more stuff in ourselves, and we're just gonna get charged emotionally. And confronting your emotions, understanding what you're feeling, will allow you to connect, to communicate them better to the other person. And then if this is not working, you retrieve yourself from the conflict, you let go of it, and then maybe talking with someone that you trust about the situation will actually allow you to release this emotional charge that you have. You can also use techniques such as journaling, or you can talk with a mental health professional as well. They for sure, they will help you to navigate this. And you can also engage in art, in creative ways to release emotions. And especially from a conflict, most of the times I love to listen to music, or like to sing and dance. This is a good way to relax, let's say, especially when I'm maybe in a conflict with my boyfriend or with a friend. I like to paint, for example, as well, and or like to do pottery classes. So this is, again, it allows you to connect better with your emotions, to understand better, and just let it go, let's say. So overall, what can we do to build and maintain positive relationships? again, pretty intuitive, but it's always good to know about it and think about it. First of all, you have to know yourself, because knowing yourself and understanding your emotions will allow you to express them more clearly and effectively to the other party. You have to put in the work, because relationships are not found, but they are built. Also, when we are seeing in the social media or soulmates and everything, but a relationship has to be work. You have to work on it. You cannot just have it and take it for granted. It needs a lot of commitment and willingness to accommodate each other's needs. So both in friendships or relationships with friends, and even romantic relationships, you have to actively work with the other to have a healthy relationship. Then again, set and respect boundaries. If someone is telling you that they don't feel comfortable from a specific situation, maybe I'm thinking now about like personal space. Some people need more personal space to be on their own and to do their own planning and even sitting next to each other. So respect that, and then also make clear your boundaries to the others as well, because we all have our limits, and it's important to communicate them in relationships. And then talk and listen, because we all have disagreements, and that's completely normal, but it's important to navigate, to learn how to navigate them, how to handle them, and handling conflicts, and that allows us to strengthen our relationships. It's only by actively listening to the other person, to the other party, listen to what they need and talk about it. Never keep it inside, because we know keeping it inside is never a good idea. And then let go of control, because as I mentioned before, we cannot control people, we cannot control situations, and we have to be mindful of this. And what's important is to remember that the way we react to situations in our lives, that's the only thing we can control. So it's how we face the experiences in our lives that will allow us to understand better how relationships work, how what we need from a relationship as well. And then reflect and learn, because we never know too much, let's say. We also have to understand the way we react to situations, or like to other people, and then be open to change as well, and be open to understand the other. And most of the times, anger and frustrations come from a place of being hurt or not heard, let's say, and then understanding that you are hurt, and what are you feeling and why are you feeling like this will allow you to communicate it better with the others. From my side, and I just want to leave this out there for you, because we will start this in the workshop. So what does a fulfilling and healthy relationship looks like to you? So just think about it, and we will discuss in the workshop together. Thank you very much for your participation, and if you want to keep in touch, here's my LinkedIn, or you can find me on social media as well. Thank you.